I'm almost getting to the point where I don't even believe the official story that we're being told here, guys.
New details emerge about the suspect in the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion as police reveal letters left behind by Army soldier Matthew Livelsberger.
This is an excerpt from that letter. He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. This was not an attack, it was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives?
Really? Does anybody believe, like, you know, anything that's involving our current government right now? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Our next guest, former Green Beret Tim Kennedy, knew the suspect and is shown here with him. They both competed in a military-style reality show. He joins us now. Tim, thank you for joining us. First off, I just got to ask you, it had to have been pretty wild for you to have seen the story and the news coverage of it, and then to look at pictures and say, oh my gosh, I knew this guy, I've met this guy.
Yeah, it took about 36 hours, honestly, about a day and a half into it, when more photos started emerging as to what he looked like in some photos from earlier in his life, 10 years, 15 years ago when I knew him, before I was able to put it together. And I was just flabbergasted. I was left speechless. I couldn't believe it because I really enjoyed the time that I got to spend with him. And I found him to be incredibly competent and talented as a special forces operator. And man, I was floored, to be honest. I didn't know what to do or say.
Okay, so this really sounds like things are not adding up here, guys. By the way, if you guys are just now joining the live, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all being here. But the first thing that comes to mind is like the passport, the driver's license, the wallet, right? Like, how in the world does the passport and the wallet somehow survive this fire? Meanwhile, there was like a Desert Eagle gun, some other type of weapon in there, another gun. Those weapons melted. They're made of metal, right? And somehow, the driver was burned beyond recognition, but yet the wallet and the identification, the passport, the driver's licenses, somehow those plastic items, leather items survived. Does this even remotely begin to make any sense to anybody? Or maybe I'm missing something.
Anything, and I realize you obviously you didn't stay in touch with him over the years, but anything that you remember particularly about his personality that strikes you as particularly kind of hard to wrap your brain around?
Yeah, Charlie, start to finish, categorically, the guy was a great dude. He was fit. He was a good shooter. He was a good communicator. There's 5-6 events that we did in this reality competition show, mostly based around soldier skills, and every instance he was seemingly a great person. None of this checks out. On the special forces side, he was first a special forces communications sergeant, and then an intelligence sergeant, and then ultimately an 18 Zulu. So he went through kind of every single one of the checks and balances. He was a talented Green Beret. And sounds like everybody liked to work with him. So none of this makes sense. And it's so heartbreaking. I truly hope that, this is a wake up call for service members to make sure that we're checking in with each other right now. But, it's so heart-wrenching.
So is this an issue where we need to have our service members checked in more often? Or is it possible that this particular Marine Beret was framed and he maybe didn't do what they're alleging that he did? It's just really weird. A lot of this stuff is not adding up, and I cannot be the only guy who's thinking this, right? So, basically you got a San Francisco guy who's, just so worried about the path of America that basically they're instead worried about exposing this knowledge, and he ends up taking himself out. Like, I don't think any of this is really adding up at all here, guys. This just doesn't make any sense. He's on a reality TV show. I don't know if he's a marksman, but he's clearly a famed shooter. He was good enough to be picked to be on the show, to be followed around. Sounds like he was and he was in the service for a number of years. I don't buy this, guys. I just don't. Sorry.
So you guys are Green Berets. You're the absolute best of the best, and I guess that's part of the reason why this is all so shocking to those of us watching this, and especially people who know Green Berets. What did you make of those letters?
Yeah, I mean, they seemed unhinged. His current standing was one that he is a good soldier, and then kind of clearly in a few months leading up to what happened in front of the Trump Tower in Las Vegas, something broke, and they're very scary letters to come from somebody that is so talented in so many different things. The selection process for Green Berets is arduous, and they're very, very particular, and very rarely do you see, of course there's going to be bad apples, but this doesn't seem like a bad apple. This seems like somebody that was hurt or broken or very scared, and
or framed.
It's just, I've been at a loss for words for the past day and a half.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way, guys. I'm not buying this. I need some more concrete evidence, and the evidence that they're sharing with us, I don't think I'm getting a full story. I'm not getting the full story. Now, I have a lot more that I want to share with you guys in this video. If you guys are just now joining the live, definitely appreciate you guys jumping in. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. We got a lot more to cover.
US authorities launching an investigation after Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside a hotel owned there in the Strip by incoming President Donald Trump. One person has died and 7 people were injured in the blast. Surveillance footage that is circulated on social media, it was shown during that police press conference as well, shows that very moment there that the Tesla Cybertruck exploded at 8:39 a.m. local time. Smoke poured out of the electric vehicle as it pulled up. It was there for about 10 to 15 seconds, police said, before the explosion outside the front doors there at the Trump International Hotel. A line of people were exiting the building. First responders were at the scene as well.
They're on the ground, folks. We could be seeing a possible attempt at derailing Trump's presidency just days before he enters the White House. We've got symbolism all over Trump Tower with a Tesla Cybertruck exploding right in front of his doors. I have Elon Musk's response to that, and we're going to cover that a little bit later. But we also have this attack in New Orleans where a truck was allegedly carrying a flag, and how all of these events are now being downplayed as nothing more than just random events. Y'all buying that crap? Yeah, me neither. Stick around until the end because we may have gotten definitive proof that links these attacks together. And guys, before we get going, I just want to say thanks so much for hitting the like button and subscribing. Let's get started.
Kirkpatrick said we'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not an event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found.
This was their initial assessment of the situation, but shortly after, the FBI changed their tone and said that this is being investigated as an act of. Now, what's really strange here is that the driver was recently identified as Seamus Din Jabbar, a U.S. Army veteran.
There is an active effort right now to investigate a potential improvised explosive device, so a homemade explosive device in plain English, found inside that individual's vehicle. There are at least 2 other potential, again, not confirmed, potential improvised explosive devices that were planted in the area. They're trying to determine, are those actual explosives? Could they have gone off? And are they tied to this particular individual? So they're looking at that as well. It's our understanding that this person had on his person a long gun as well as potentially another weapon. And the FBI now says on the record that this 42-year-old identified as Shamsa Din Jabbar, and the FBI has now identified him publicly, says that he's a U.S. citizen from Texas, that a flag was located, and I'm quoting now, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with organizations. Now, that flag that they say was located in the vehicle is believed to be affixed to the hitch on the tailgate. So if you look at this photo and you look at where the license plate is, it's a Texas license plate on the back of it, there's a white pole that kind of comes up there, and there's a black material, some sort of potentially a flag, a garment, whatever it is, that might be, in fact, the flag that was there.
New footage shows that this is an obvious attack. You can clearly see how fast the vehicle's going, and the suspect also tried to get into a shootout with authorities. And this whole scene has just left everyone just like distraught.
We ducked off into a nightclub real quick, And within 2 minutes of walking in, 4 or 5 girls come running in, push past security, and hide under tables. Me and my friend living here, kind of knowing what's what and things that have been on the news, we didn't take any chances. We ran upstairs to the balcony area that we knew was there. And when we got up there, it wasn't anyone chasing anybody. It was just unimaginable casualty. I mean, just the disfigurement and the bodies strewn, something you can't unsee, you'll never forget. We counted around 8 bodies very quickly, right in our area.
It also coincides with the one that was done just outside the Trump Hotel in Vegas. A Cybertruck was said to be filled with explosives, which were detonated right at the doors of the hotel. Drone footage shows charred gasoline canisters, camp fuel canisters, and large firework mortars in the rear of the Tesla vehicle. Many now believe that these attacks were done in coordination with one another, a theory that Tesla CEO Elon Musk supports.
Given the timing of these two events, authorities are investigating any potential link between what's happened in Las Vegas and what happened there in New Orleans. There was questions at the press conference to law enforcement about the fact that these two vehicles were both rented, both from the same company. But at this stage, the update was that that seemed to be just a mere coincidence. Tesla founder Elon Musk, as we know, very close to incoming President Donald Trump, he posted on social media, his platform X today, saying that it appears likely to be an act of, he says, both this Cybertruck and the F-150 suicide bomb in New Orleans were rented from Turo. That's that rental car company I mentioned. And he speculates perhaps that they are linked in some way. Mr. Musk has also written that the evil knuckleheads picked the wrong vehicle for an attack. Cybertruck actually contained the explosion and directed the blast upwards. Not even the glass doors of the lobby were broken. And that's the very point that Las Vegas authorities had been making. The fact that this was a Cybertruck prevented the explosives actually doing further damage into the interior of the hotel. Vegas authorities confirming that both Mr. Musk and Donald Trump have aided the investigation so far.
Do any of you guys believe that these attacks are linked together? Or do you believe, like some of the authorities are telling us, like, oh, these are just some random incidents that just so happen to happen on the same day? U.S. investigators are now saying that the New Orleans act was not a one-man job, citing that Samsudin Jabbar had help in planning this attack. We don't know if they talked about it, but the Cybertruck bomber was also a veteran. His name was Matthew Livelsberger, and he served at the same base as Samsudin Jabbar. Interesting connection, huh? Same base? Now, at this point, it would be crazy to think that these attacks are connected in some way, because you have two trucks filled with explosives. They're both rented from the same Turo app. I think that there are both electric vehicles, because I think the first one was like a Ford Lightning or something like that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Attacking specific places with plenty of people, with veterans that just so happen to have served at the same military base. Now, it is a little alarming that they're military veterans, though, right? Isn't this odd? But it's really hard not to see a connection here. And so now President Joe Biden has responded to the attacks, and that his initial reaction was of anger and frustration. But he said that the nation should not jump to conclusions, and that he's going to keep us informed about updates regarding these crimes. Do you guys think that the White House will actually allow us to get the information behind these attacks? And while these are seen as deterrents to a peaceful transfer of power, President-elect Trump continues to win his legal battles. Now, I covered this in a previous live stream where Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis continues to face scrutiny for her handling of the election interference case. And with her officially out of the picture, many people say that this case is as good as done. Make sure you guys check that out after this one. As always, appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you guys next time.